Hello, everybody. I just want to make another very quick, short video about the solar eclipse. Please watch the live we did on our podcast, Unscripted Liberation Codes, where it's titled Imagineering a New Earth. We dove in and talked about the eclipse during that episode. And right now, I just want to really share a channeled message from the heart. Okay. Um, so this eclipse is taking place at 19 degrees Aries, 24 minutes. You can see here the moon, the sun, and Chiron are beautifully lined up at 19 degrees, the same, they're not only in the same degree point, but they're also within the same minute of that degree point, 24 minutes. This is extremely rare, extremely precise, and quite amazing and beautiful. So what is also happening during this eclipse is we're going to have Mercury in Aries retrograde 24 degrees. Venus will be in Aries at 4 degrees. And then we see Saturn at 13 degrees is going to be conjunct. Mars in Pisces at 13 degrees is going to be conjunct Saturn here at 14 degrees Pisces. This is very important to keep in mind what Mars is doing during this eclipse because Mars is the ruler of the sign Aries. So it's very important to keep in mind what Mars is doing during this eclipse. The other thing I want you guys to understand is that Aries being the first sign of the zodiac and this being a new moon total solar eclipse, eclipses take about 6 months to unfold in what the energetics occurred during that time. So while we are all expecting some big event to happen in this eclipse, the eclipse alone is the big event, but there are a lot of talks about the Antichrist and CERN and NASA sending rockets and the names of things and the locations and the cities of things and the numerology and the Hebrew numerology and how all that adds up. Um, while this eclipse is occurring, what the energetics are going to be a seed planted, and we may get a glimpse, we may get an opening of what is now destined to happen because the North Node governs destiny. So this is the total solar eclipse where there are destined energetics, the next wave, the next motion to occur for humanity, for us on an individual and a collective basis. So this is just a seed and an opening to occur where the unfolding of the events will take place within the next 6 months. So yes and no, major events may happen, but major openings may happen that take 6 months to unfold during this eclipse. In addition to what I just said, I'm going to read to you what the Sabian symbol for 19 degrees Aries is. This is very important. So Sabian symbol for 19 degrees Aries. This is from the website sabiansymbols.com. A magic carpet hovers over the depressing reality of everyday life in an industrial area. This symbol shows that you can use your imagination to lift your level of understanding into other, perhaps higher realms. By elevating ourselves above the everyday world, we can transcend worry and strife. There is a clear message here that you can lift yourself above negative situations. And by doing so, you can attain a calmer, more creative spiritual life. With expanded awareness, you can have an elevated perspective that reveals greater truths. However, be a little careful not to lose yourself in the longing for escape or the exotic. You probably have to come back down to the earthly plane every now and then. Vehicles of transcendence, elevated views, transcending problems, astral travel, carpets and rugs that are special, meditation, levitation, escapes through fantasy or film, self-defeating detachment from the everyday world, losing yourself in flights of fancy, extreme longing for escape, using drugs or alcohol to avoid life. So that 19 degree point is so important right now because I didn't think to look up that the Sabian symbol until yesterday when I was live on the podcast. But even before then, I already intuitively knew don't pay attention. Don't pay attention to the depressing reality of the mundane industrial constructs, which means I have not been paying attention to P. Diddy, to the rockets, to CERN, and following the rabbit holes of what all that shit means and how the hydrogen collider is located on this town in Sweden and the name of that town and the history of that town. Like, no, we need to get on the magic carpet to fly above all of this so we can transcend and gain higher knowledge to problem solve this suffering. And if we are focused on the ground of all of this stuff, we are not doing the work. And as it's saying, self-defeating detachment from the everyday world. And this is what we are dealing with. We are dealing with struggling to detach from our focus and our gaze on all of this stuff that's happening within the mundane. Now, the other thing I want to add emphasis to is Chiron being here during this eclipse. This is so profound and divine. Chiron is not only the wounded healer and a literal key. You look at Chiron, the glyph of Chiron is actual key. Chiron is the wounded healer, but Chiron also acts as the rainbow bridge, the rainbow bridge that takes us out of the earthly, worldly domain and into celestial, higher realms. So, if you've seen any of the Avenger movies or the movie Thor with the god of Thor, what do they use to go back to other realms, to Asgard and the other dimensions? The rainbow bridge. They travel through a rainbow bridge. This is like sort of the same concept. So in astrology, we have the sun, Earth, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and then Saturn. And all of those other planets that I named are within the orbit of Saturn. Saturn acts as the ruler of physical reality, the ruler of the physical construct of the matrix. And from Saturn to the next planet, which is Uranus, it is a vast distance, a vast, vast, vast distance until we get to the trans-Saturnian planets, which are Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Eris. And there's a new one that's in the works too. So those transcendental planets are the other realms, are of higher celestial orders. So within this third density, this 3D reality that is governed by Saturn, which is very limiting, which is very suppressing, um, and tough, we all experience trauma, traumas to our ego, spiritual wounds, emotional wounds, baggage, living here in this world. We experience pain. And so Chiron being the rainbow bridge that can take us, that can help us go through a transcendental experience that elevates our consciousness above and out of the Saturnian domain and into higher celestial planes. Part of the what the bridge is, what the rainbow bridge is the process of deconditioning the mind and our ego and our attachments to our story, to the pain, to that lower density energy. And the example that I really love to use is going to an ayahuasca ceremony where Chiron is the shaman that makes the medicine. And recently I've learned that Chiron had a wife. I didn't know Chiron had a wife. I haven't dove into the studies, but intuitively learning and downloading from that, what I believe Chiron's wife to mostly B is formless. Chiron's wife was not actual physical form. Chiron's wife was the entity of the medicine that spoke to him during his darkest hours. Young Chiron, young wounded warrior, go into the forest, go into the jungle, and gather these herbs, gather these medicines, and create this concoction so you can meet with me. I am the grandmother. I am Aya, ayahuasca. So that's the wife. That's the wife of Chiron that taught him how to be the healer he is, that initiated him into being a shaman. So when you go into a ceremony and you take the medicine, the first layers of every ceremony in any kind of medicine, whether it's as yahe or ayahuasca, or bufo, the first layers of experiencing the medicine is going through your own hell, going through your own pain and suffering of processing and coping the pain that your ego has experienced through rejection, abandonment, neglect, hurt, whether it was rape, whether if it was being cheated on, or whatever your fucking story is that hurt you and created this wound. First, the medicine takes us into that deep inward journey to process that and heal that and to activate the technologies of forgiveness and unconditional love through all the things that we went through. And when we activate that, it opens up our heart in a profound way that elevates us to a higher embodiment, a higher Christ consciousness embodiment. And that is the process of the rainbow bridge to then access the higher celestial planes, the higher celestial beings, the devas, the gods, the Buddhas. Because when you're in those higher celestial planes, you're not holding on to those ego attachments of your story. And so this eclipse is happening in the sign Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. The key term for Aries is I am. Aries is all about identity, who we are, who we are. Who am I? I am this. And so this eclipse, this total solar eclipse, is a literal portal and a gateway to the sun, through the sun, where we can then meet the shaman, Chiron, the wounded healer, to help us decondition and rise above this earthly world and hop on the rainbow bridge to move into higher celestial vibrations where we can remember, where we can remember and access and download and tap into our identity on a soul level, which this is far beyond your egoic understanding of the mundane physical realm, which is why I'm telling people, if you are focusing and obsessing on all of this other stuff, you might miss the bridge. You might miss the opportunity, because where attention flows, energy goes. And if your attention is flowing in that, then you're not hopping on the magic carpet to fly above the depressing reality of an industrial world. So you're focusing on that, you're going to miss the carpet. You're not going to activate your magic carpet and hop on the rainbow bridge and take that spiritual ayahuasca through the solar eclipse and remember who you are on a soul essence that activates your past lives, your future lives. And so this solar eclipse, being that it's ushering in a new beginning, which if you can find a way to hop on this rainbow bridge and open and activate for that seed to be planted. So over the next 6 months, then begins the unfolding in how to integrate and embody the experience and realization that you have in being able to access and remember who you are on a soul level, healing that identity on who you are, because they have done this conditioning to the world and society for hundreds of years, during the colonization of the world, during the ending of tribes and tribal languages, and taking away people's special connections to spirit and how people understand who they are and develop they are, and where they gain their name through spirit. Then during the Industrial Revolution, people were leaving their tribes, were leaving their villages, and now integrating into cities to get jobs, to build this industrial world where now everybody is dressed in uniform. Everybody is dressed in uniform, same haircut, same clothes, same type of fashion, same type of trend. Guess what? You're not special. Get in line. So this is helping us reawaken and connect to this much more profound, deep, tribal way of knowing who you are on a spiritual level. And what else is happening during the solar eclipse with Mercury retrograde is retrograde is going to be contacting Eris, the warrior goddess. And Eris is the sister of Aries, which is Mars. Mars is the ruling planet of Aries. So Mercury being the messenger of the gods during this eclipse, as we're hopping on the Rainbow Bridge to meet with this celestial soul identity of ourselves, our mind is going to receive a message from the warrior goddess Eris. And as Mercury continues to progress through its retrograde, after the eclipse, Mercury will meet with Chiron, meet with the sun, meet with the moon, all the way back. Mercury will retrograde all the way back to the 15th degree of Aries, where the North Node is right now. The North Node is right here, 15 degrees Aries. Mercury will station direct at 15 degrees Aries, giving the message from Eris, warrior goddess, to destiny, in awakening the destiny of embodying who you are on a soul level as the whole world is getting ready to change. Mars being in Pisces conjunct Saturn during this time is very significant. Mars is the lord of karma, the ruler of time in this physical reality. So Mars being in Pisces, Mars is how we outwardly direct our energy and take action, outward physical directed action. When Mars is in Pisces, our ego, that masculine energy, this is the period for that energy to rest, to sleep, to go into the temples and pray and receive healing and spiritual cleansing. When Mars is in Pisces, this is when the war and the bloodshed is over. And now it's time to come back into the temple and heal and remember who you are. So for Mars meeting with Saturn at this time during this eclipse, this is major significance in the ending of a karmic cycle where the gaslighting and the suppressing of people's authentic individuality being destroyed and constricted. Because no, you are not special. No, you are not a reincarnated pharaoh. No, you are not this. No, you are not that. This is correcting all of this. But also, Saturn is really asking Mars to take this serious and to learn how to create form from this profound gateway that is happening, to learn how to anchor it in and create form and start walking it, to start being it, unraveling within the next 6 months. Now, I'm going to leave it at that. Please take this message serious. This solar eclipse, don't miss the Rainbow Bridge. From now, during the eclipse, allow yourself to not focus on any of the things going on. Begin being in trance. Begin silencing yourself, going within, meditating. And when the eclipse is occurring, I'm going to suggest to you to dance while the eclipse is happening, glancing at the sun every now and then, but moving the body and dancing as this deep warrior spiritual energy is being activated within humanity right now. And I will even suggest to do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks, engage the body during this eclipse, do some dancing, throw your fist, feel the passion of your energy awakening your body as there is something profoundly deeply being moved within your spirit. that we can't fully be conscious aware of yet. But the seed is being planted now, and it will unravel and grow within the next 6 months, ushering us into the next stage of development of what is happening right now. Thank you.